The moment he opened his mouth, Marcus thought it would be just another lunch break joke. A harmless jab at the quiet woman sitting alone in the corner of the bustling military cafeteria, her uniform crisp but unremarkable, her presence almost ghostly in a room full of alpha personalities and loud war stories. He had no idea that in less than 10 seconds, his entire world, and everyone else's in that room, would come to a complete standstill. Marcus was a Navy SEAL, built like a tank and carrying the kind of confidence that only comes from surviving the most brutal training on Earth. He and his team had just returned from a grueling 6-month deployment in the Middle East, and the adrenaline still buzzed under their skin. They were untouchable, unbreakable, or so they believed. The cafeteria was their kingdom that afternoon, filled with the clang of trays, the hum of conversations, and the occasional burst of laughter that echoed off the walls. Marcus spotted her as he grabbed his tray, a woman, maybe mid-30s, sitting by herself near the window. Her face was calm, her eyes distant, staring out at the gray sky beyond the base. Something about her stillness bothered him, like she didn't belong in the chaos. So, in typical Marcus fashion, he decided to break the ice with what he thought was harmless banter. He walked over, his buddies trailing behind, smirks already forming on their faces. They expected a laugh, maybe some light flirting. What they got instead would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Marcus leaned against the table, his tone dripping with playful arrogance. "Hey there, ma'am. What's your rank? You lost or something? This section's usually for the operators." His buddies chuckled, expecting her to blush or fumble with some junior rank like petty officer or lieutenant. But she didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. She just slowly turned her head, her eyes locking onto his with a weight that made his grin falter. The cafeteria noise seemed to dip, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then, in a voice so steady it felt like steel, she said, "Master Chief Petty Officer, Dev Grew, 23 years, 4 Purple Hearts. And the last time someone questioned where I belonged, I was pulling his team out of an ambush in Fallujah, while half my face was covered in someone else's blood." The silence that followed wasn't just quiet. It was suffocating. Every fork froze mid-air. Every conversation died. Even the kitchen staff stopped moving. Marcus felt his stomach drop like a stone into cold water. His buddies, who moments ago were grinning like fools, suddenly found the floor incredibly interesting. This wasn't just any soldier. This was a legend standing in front of them, and they had just made the mistake of treating her like a punchline. But she wasn't done. She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried across the entire room. "You want to know why I sit alone, SEAL? It's not because I don't belong. It's because most of the men I served with didn't make it home. And the ones who did? They don't sit in cafeterias cracking jokes. They sit in dark rooms, replaying the same nightmare over and over, wondering why they survived when their brothers didn't." Her words hit like shrapnel. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat was tight, his chest heavy. He wanted to apologize, to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. She stood up slowly, picking up her tray, her movements deliberate and calm. As she walked past him, she paused, just for a second, and said softly, "Next time you want to joke about rank, son, make sure you know who you're talking to. Some of us earned ours in blood." And then she was gone, leaving behind a cafeteria full of silent warriors who suddenly felt very, very small. Marcus stood there, paralyzed, his mind racing. He had heard stories about DevGru operators, the elite of the elite, the ones who did the missions no one else could. But he had never imagined one would be a woman sitting quietly in a corner, carrying scars no one could see. His team leader, a grizzled veteran named Tom, finally broke the silence. "You just got schooled by a living legend, Marcus. That's Master Chief Elena Garrett. She's got more confirmed kills than most of us have deployments. She doesn't talk about it because she doesn't need to." Marcus felt shame burn through him like fire. He had spent years training to be the best, to earn his trident, to prove he was worthy. But in that moment, he realized he had been acting like a fool, blind to the sacrifices of those who came before him. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept replaying her words, the look in her eyes, the weight of her presence. He had always thought respect was something you demanded. But now he understood. It was something you earned, often in silence, often in pain. The next morning, he found her again, this time in the training yard, running alone in the cold dawn light. He jogged up beside her, his breath visible in the freezing air. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, without looking at him, she said, "You here to apologize or to learn?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Both, Master Chief." She slowed her pace, finally glancing at him. Her expression softened, just barely. "Good, because the day you stop learning is the day you stop being a warrior." They ran together in silence after that, two soldiers from different generations, bound by the same unspoken code. And as the sun rose over the base, Marcus realized something profound. True strength wasn't about being the loudest or the toughest. It was about carrying your scars with dignity, honoring those who fell, and never, ever forgetting where you came from. That day, in a cafeteria full of warriors, one woman reminded them all what it truly meant to serve.